Hey guys, it's Universets here. I'm back with another video, and today guys, I'm back once again with another review video. And yes guys, today it's the day you've been waiting for. Today I'm going to be doing my review on the A24 Backrooms movie. So far, we've got my review done for Primal Season 3 Episode 10 and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So now it's time to do the Backrooms movie. So I did watch this movie, guys, about a couple weeks ago. How I did watch it was I watched it through some people that were leaking the full movie on YouTube that was just spreading all over. And I just watched it through my Nintendo Switch, which, by the way, that was like the bestest way I could do it and the only way I could have because, as you guys know, things have not been easy. And that was just an easy way for me to watch the movie in any case. And what were my thoughts of this movie? I gotta say, this is definitely by far the bestest horror movie that we've had in such a long time. So much where it easily beats the FNAF movies in a way. Like, this movie actually, despite it was directed by the original creator of the Backrooms series on YouTube, Kane Parsons, or Kane Pixels, this movie really did stay true to the analog horror of the Backrooms, and I really did enjoy it. And just, it was insane. Like, it was really tense with how they did the movie, and just everything about it was just awesome, spot on. Which, honestly, yeah, it's just crazy. So today, guys, I will be giving my thoughts about this and tell you guys what I think. And I guess, again, if there's any chance that no one has seen this movie, fair warning, this will contain spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie still, click off, go watch it now, and then come back once you've seen it. But if you already have seen it, then do feel free to stick around. So let's get started. Here is my review on the A24 Backrooms movie. So like I said before, this movie did a really good job with staying true to the original plot of the Backrooms itself and just the whole thing with how it's portrayed by Kane Parsons. My only one problem that I did have with this movie, which I'm going to get to just right now just to get out of the way, it is the only problem I had anyways, but it's nothing too major, was they really could have done a lot more with like the analog style to it compared to how it is by Kane Parsons on YouTube. Like, there was more it was more cinematic in a way, like with other horror movies, than that of like found footage. Like, I do wish it was a bit more like other found footage movies like Quarantine, Cloverfield, and Paranormal Activity, but in a way it still worked even though it wasn't like the main thing of the movie. And just, I don't know what to say, but the fact how the way they actually did explain the back rooms was honestly really like interesting. So what it does reveal is that the dimension itself is essentially a subconscious echo chamber of memories, pretty much. And what it does is it absorbs and mirrors fragments of reality, and the locations and people that appear inside it are directly generated from the thoughts and recollections of the people who enter at this, what it shows. So pretty much the main character of this movie, Clark, who is a troubling businessman of his department store, which, by the way, he's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who you guys may know who played Scar in the live-action remake for The Lion King. So he's basically failing at his business, which is called Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire. How he's divorced from his ex-wife, has a bit of a temper problem, and he's just failing at his job pretty much. He just doesn't know what to do, and he talks to his therapist Mary about this to try and see if she can help him out. But that is until he eventually does come across the back rooms when he goes down to like the lower areas of his store and finds like a section in the wall that leads to the back rooms itself. And when he gets there, he finds like a bunch of stuff that are from his store and just other stuff from the real world that the back room seems to be duplicating. Because like I said, what it's shown is the back rooms pretty much, it duplicates and makes replicas of things from people's past, and it kind of like feeds off their memories and turns them into like something twisted and sadistic. And when you think of twisted and sadistic, you're probably thinking what I think you're thinking, but we're going to get to that in a second though, so don't worry guys. So at one point he does bring two of his co-workers to try and explore this place, but they both end up getting killed off one by one. Like, I think his name was Bobby, I think, gets like taken by some unseen force. Well, there is a creature or something that takes him, but we're not fully introduced to it just yet though, but we will get to in a little bit. And then like the other co-worker, who I also forgot the name of, she gets killed by him because the back room starts to make like Clark go insane at this point. And then when she goes there, she does eventually come across Clark himself, where he ends up kidnapping her and betraying her and puts her in like this weird room that looks like a house, and she's surrounded by all these like distorted versions of people pretty much. And this is where he does begin to explain like how the backrooms work, which again, he reveals that the backrooms harvest fragmented memories from the outside world, reconstructing the people and places their victims recall, though these distortions decay and alter over time at this point. And basically, the mutated faceless humanoids that wander the halls are the Backrooms' flawed attempts to misremember people from the real world. The longer a person stays and the more the environment forgets them, the more physical form warps. So that basically is why they look all weird. Like some of them have like multiple eyes. They're all like mushed figures. And it even shows, Clark does show that they feel no pain. Like you can easily like cut them up or something and they don't even care. But inside them, there is no like blood or organs. They're just nothing but cotton, pretty much. And this just shows that Clark has legit lost his mind and he actually feels that he wants to stay here more, even though Mary desperately attempts to convince him to come with her so she can try to get him the help he needs. But again, he just disagrees, and Floud just tells her that no, because the flawed people never criticize him or judge him for his actions given from his history. But then Mary does eventually kind of like accept what he wants but at least just begs him to let her free, which, acceptably enough, he actually agrees to it and doesn't begin to untie her. Now, before I continue, you guys are probably wondering, what about the bacteria monster? Is the bacteria monster in this movie? Well, I don't know how else to tell you guys or what you'll think, but unfortunately, for I guess those who have not seen the movie yet, no, the bacteria monster is not in this movie. But there is a monster in this film, and it's basically a giant, like, corrupted version of the Captain Clark mascot from Clark's store. So pretty much it's like a huge, tall, distorted version of Clark in the Captain Clark costume from his advertisement. Like, and even given how the bacteria monster was not in this movie, this thing was just so fucking disturbing. Just the eyes just almost popping out of his socket, and just the open mouth was just so unnerving to look at. Like, I'll probably give you guys an image of it on screen right now. Like, this thing was just so disturbing. Like, it may not be like almost as scary as the bacteria monster, but this thing was definitely good at being something scary for the movie. Like, holy shit. And what this creature really is that it's basically a representation of Clark's deepest personal demons, or a dark shadow that embodies his violent nature and the loath furniture salesman persona. So in other words, this is basically like everything bad about Clark himself that basically has been formed from the back rooms into this monster, pretty much. But during this, as it approaches them, Clark does try to convince the monster that she doesn't judge them for who they are and that they don't really have to change or something. But obviously, since this is like a representation of Clark's like deepest mind or his violent nature, it just ends up eating him and killing him at this point, which I did feel bad for Clark, because even despite he's the main character, like, he basically wasn't, throughout the film, it kind of just showed that he begins to grow more of a psychopath in a way, and you would probably think that he's the villain. But at the end of the day, during this moment, you kind of do feel bad for him. Like, he is like a troubled person just going through a lot, which I can kind of do see from that, but I really don't think he deserved to die right there. So Mary does end up freeing herself and tries to escape the monster as it begins to pursue her, until eventually she comes back to like the main area of the store, but only to find out it's another simulation or replica from the back rooms that it's recreating. So she basically grabs a coat hanger and tries to like fight off the monster by breaking its peg leg, but she eventually goes through a tight corridor and escapes the monster, until she's then captured by the hazmat suit guys, which, by the way, they're known as the Async Corporation, which I do believe they were in the original Backroom series by Keen Pixels. Now, guys, I haven't watched the entirety of the Backroom series that he's made. I've only mainly just seen like the most iconic one with the found footage of the guy falling through. He gets chased by the bacteria monster and then he gets killed, pretty much. That's really the only one I've seen, so I don't know too much about the Backrooms lore, so I do want to apologize for that. But pretty much the film ends off with warped copies of her manifesting in the back rooms, suggesting the dimension has entirely consumed her reality. Basically showing, like, at the end, it shows, like, a warped version of herself, which kind of leads you to believe, like, or make you think, did Mary really escape the back rooms? But that part right there is actually what made the film's ending very good, because you would probably think that in a horror movie it would end off good with, like, the main character escapes the back rooms, right? Well, no, because in most Backrooms analog horror series that we've seen, the main character doesn't exactly escape the back rooms, pretty much, which is what makes the film so good. So right now, we don't actually know if the real Mary actually escaped back to the real world, or if this is just or if it was a warped version that was taken there instead. Because right now, it is also shown that ANSEC is already capturing and studying these altered humanoid entities, pretty much, which leaves us to believe that question at this point. But other than that, I don't really know what else to say about the back rooms, other than the fact how this movie had really done a great job with expanding, like, the lore with the back rooms, pretty much, and actually giving us more to it, which I think I did hear that this actually is the Backrooms from the analog horror series, how this is basically the same universe, but this is actually set in the past pretty much. I think 6 years before the events of the found footage. This is like in, I think, 1991, and then the found footage takes place like a couple years later. Now, I also have been hearing this other theory. Now, given how we did not see the Backrooms bacteria monster, there have been theories going about that the Captain Clark monster is the bacteria monster, which I really refuse to believe that. I really do not think that the Captain Clark monster is actually the bacteria monster, because now the bacteria monster, clearly it's bacteria, meaning that it's pretty much, it's molding and it's rotting pretty much. But even given like a side-by-side comparison, the details on both the Captain Clark monster and the bacteria monster do not look anything alike, given from how they look. Now, I haven't watched all the videos for them myself, so I probably don't know what they're talking about right now. But even then, I just don't think they're the same entity, to be honest. But people can think otherwise, but maybe at some point I'll check out the video and have a change of thought. But for now, I refuse to believe. But other than that, again, that's really all I have to say about this movie. This may have been a very short review, even for it being a movie review. But again, this movie was honestly really well done, and I really loved how Kane Parsons stayed true to his series. And for my thoughts of this movie, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. A really well done horror film that we've had in such a long time. Definitely beating the FNAF films from the past couple years. And definitely better than that new Scream film that we had recently this year. Which I think it was this year. Which I really am loving how he did this. Which I keep saying that. And I do hope that maybe one day he does actually expand the lore for this movie. And actually gives us more in a sequel. But we'll have to just wait and see. Now, given in most circumstances, you would probably ask me what versus battles I would have planned. Pretty much none for the Backrooms movie, but this movie did actually give me some ideas for Season 4, Episode 5 of my series, which is intended to be a Backrooms-themed episode, where after I escape the Jurassic World universe, I then end up no-clipping into the Backrooms, where I am getting chased by the bacteria monster. Which that was going to be the original plot first, how the episode was meant to just be a callback or a reference to the original Backrooms video and also Stromny's Backrooms film. But this time, I'm also going to implement some stuff from the movies to make it even better. So basically, like, I go into the Backrooms, I no-clip there, I get chased by the bacteria monster, come across Clark, he ties me up and tells me about it, and then I try to beg him to come with me so I can help him get the help he needs, but he refuses. I convince him to let me go. He gets killed by the Captain Clark monster. I get chased by it, and then eventually get captured by the hazmat suit guys, and they question me and ask me if I came into contact with the bacteria monster, and they tell me that if I did, I can't leave the place. But then the bacteria monster ends up coming, they escape, they end up getting killed. I run away from the monster, jump down another hole, and then I end up in the Mushroom Kingdom through a warp pipe, which leads up to me entering the Mario movie universe. So I think that would be an even cooler plot for the Backrooms episode of Savor the Multiverse. So do stay tuned for that, guys, if I do come back in the future, which I think that would be a really cool concept. Like, honestly, given from what we got for the Mario Galaxy movie and the Backrooms movie, it really is opening a lot of new concepts and ideas for Season 4 to make it even better, which I really admire from that. But other than that, guys, that's going to wrap up my review for the Backrooms movie. So now, all that's left to do now is just my double review for The Secret Door 2 and Chef Pee Quits Part 7, which I will try to get to those as well whenever I can. So bear with me, guys, if I ever get to those. But other than that, that's going to wrap this up right here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe and share. It would really, really mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Peace out.
Monster sire, scars thrown into the flames, abyss defeated by a lion's kiss. Godzilla's roar, a thunderous call, lays the past to rest, ends it all. As dawn breaks, Simba stands tall. Roaring proudly, he answers the call. Godzilla walks across the horizon line, a new king.